Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live session where we're going to answer any of the questions that you might have about studying economic and management sciences at Stellenbosch University. My name is Ingrid Woolard, and I'm the Dean of the Faculty. With me today is Mishka Naidu. She's a fourth year BAC LLB student, and we also have Professor Ada Janssen, who is our new Vice Dean for Learning and Teaching. So you will have seen the WhatsApp phone number on your screen already, and you can begin to send us through your questions. I've got the WhatsApp telephone right here, and as soon as I receive a question, I'll start to answer it. So we already have a question, which is about, do I have to write the NBTs? I'll take that one. So the national benchmarking tests are a standardized set of tests which many universities require that you write as a supplement to your national senior certificate results. In our faculty, Economic and Management Sciences, we don't require that you write the NBTs unless you are wanting to study one of the law programs. So if you want to do either the BCom Law or the BAC LLB, then you do need to write the NBTs. So it's not a bad idea to go and write them if you think that perhaps you want to study a law program. Let me take the next one. So the question is about studying, Ada, I'll give this one to you. My daughter would like to apply for international business. Does she need to put BCom only, or should she choose another focal area? So perhaps you can talk a little bit, Ada, about the different streams that we have, the different focal areas, and then something about the BCom international business.
Okay. Thank you, Ingrid. So yes, as Ingrid has indicated, we do have different degree programs. So varying from BCom Economic Sciences to BCom Management Sciences, and then also the BCom International degree program. And within those general degree programs, we also have focal areas. So the focal areas are really sort of, a combination of modules that we advise students or recommend them to take. And within those focal areas, there are also compulsory modules that students have to complete if they want to have the focal area registered on or released on their academic transcript. So the focal areas are really sort of a guide to students, and they're not compelled to take those particular focal areas. They can register for the general degree program, but that can give them a movement towards, a specific focal area that they will have on their academic transcript. I think
Thank you so much, Ada. And as a good follow-up question, somebody is also asking us, Mishka, about the difference between the BCom Law versus the BAC LLB. So perhaps you can briefly explain the difference between those two qualifications.
No worries. So in terms of the BCom Law degree, this is a degree where your main focus for the first 3 or so years is BCom with a few LLB degrees. However, you will then do a postgrad in LLB, hence the name BCom Law and not BCom LLB. Whereas with the BAC LLB degree, it is technically 2 degrees combined into 1 degree for the duration of your 5 years. So by the end of your degree, you will have both a BAC degree as well as an LLB degree. Therefore, you can qualify for either a legal practitioner or a chartered accountant.
Thank you so much, Mishka. So there's a question here about when we'll start to send out our offers. So applications opened at the beginning of April. We've already received thousands of applications. We're busy processing those now. We expect that we'll start to send out conditional offers within the next 3 weeks or so. We're just waiting for a couple of aspects on the administrative side, but we have already started processing those, and you should all start receiving your letters quite soon. So there's a question about if you start in, if you do the BAC LLB, how do you go on then to become a chartered accountant? I'm going to give that one to Mishka as well.
So in terms of BAC LLB, once you've completed your BAC LLB 5 years, you then have to do a postgrad in BAC, so that's an additional year, so in total 6 years. Then you'll have to do 3 years of articles at an accountancy firm, and then you'll also have to do the accountancy exams in order to qualify as a CA.
Thank you so much. Ada, I'm going to give this one to you. This is a question about the extended degree program, or what we now call the extended curriculum program, and whether it's possible, once you've enrolled for that, to change to another degree, such as, for example, Bachelor of Data Science.
Thank you, Ingrid. So I think it's important to remember that for each degree program, you have to comply with the minimum requirements. And so if you wanted to articulate to a different degree program, like, for example, even from the extended degree program, you would still have to adhere to those minimum requirements of those degree programs. So it's important to go and verify what are those minimum requirements for each of the degree programs.
Thank you so much. So there's a question here about doing honours in accountancy. And so the question here is it true that you need a 75% in your third year in order to then be allowed to do honours in accountancy? So I think it's important that we talk a bit about the path to becoming a chartered accountant. So what most students will do is they will do the BAc degree, and then they'll go on to what's called the postgraduate diploma in accountancy. So that's not an honours degree, it's a diploma. And for that, to get into the postgraduate diploma with the PGDA, ordinarily we don't expect anywhere near a 75%, even usually a 55% is enough to get into that. Honours is a more research-intensive qualification that we only allow a very small number of students into. So those will be the very top performers. But you shouldn't worry that if you don't get your 75% in third year, you won't be able to go on to the postgraduate diploma and qualify as a chartered accountant. You will be able to do so. We have more than 300 students in the PGDA at the moment. Right, let me have a... Did you talk about international business, Ada? You did. And so we've got another question about international business, okay, which is about the exchange, how the exchange works and how long is it and what sort of places does one get to go to.
Okay, should I
Yeah,
respond?
if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. So yes, as Ingrid has indicated, the International Business Degree Program has a semester exchange, and so students are then sent for a semester to one of our partner universities, and usually they can then take modules that will receive credit for the BCom, the International Business Program. And it's a very, sort of interesting and informative, productive, semester for these students because they get an opportunity to go abroad, experience a different environment, academic environment, and also have some time to collaborate with students from abroad. And so it's a compulsory part of the BCom International Business Degree Program, and students really benefit a lot from that particular semester exchange.
It's a very exciting program. I think it's really a fantastic experience for students to be able to go abroad. But even for those students that don't go abroad, we bring in hundreds of international students onto our campus. So we refer to that as a sort of internationalization at home experience, that even if you don't get to go and study abroad for a semester, at least you get to mix with students from other countries here at Stellenbosch University. So we've got a question here about the process, the admissions process for students that are rewriting some of their subjects this year. I don't know if you want to take that, Ada, or if you want me to take it.
Just clarify
So the question is about if do we apply the same criteria for students that are currently in matric versus those that are redoing some of their subjects. They'd written matric last year and now they're perhaps retaking maths or English this year.
So, yes, I mean, if you comply with the minimum requirements, and we also now this year we apply selection criteria. So if you'd like to study next year and you are now repeating, you still have to adhere to those minimum requirements as well as the selection criteria.
So related to that, we've got a question about what if my marks are my grade 11 results were a little bit below the minimum requirements? Can I still apply and might I be accepted?
So I'll answer that one. If you do not adhere to the minimum requirements, you will unfortunately not receive a conditional offer. And so an opportunity you would have to consider an opportunity to improve your grades so that you can comply with the admission requirements and the selection criteria.
So that's always an option then to rather take a gap year and to rewrite the subjects that perhaps you didn't do so strongly in order to apply for the next year. Because if you've already finished your matric, then those are the results that we look at. So, Mishka, I'm going to ask you to try and explain this one, because I know this is something that confuses a lot of our students when they arrive. And the question is around, what if I don't pass all of my subjects in first year? Does it mean I stay in first year, or do I move on to part of second year? How does that progression in the system work? I'm hoping you can give a better answer than I'm able to.
Okay, so essentially, first years have to go through an entire orientation process and things like that. So you will not be alone in the boat where some students can't pass some of their modules for various reasons unbeknownst to us. So you won't technically be a first year, you'll just be taking some first year modules. So you will be known as a second year student with just some of your first year modules mixed in with your second year.
Great. So Professor Jansen, I feel like this question was made for you. Professor Jansen, in addition to being our Vice Dean, is the chair of the Department of Economics. And the question is, what is economic sciences?
So the short answer, Ingrid, is that it is the study of human behavior. And so if you wanted a longer discussion on that, we could sort of break it down to, the discussion about how economic agents make decisions in the normal life. If you go out and you go to the shop and you decide to spend in a particular way, that is what we are interested in when you study economics. So it's all about what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. And that for us as economists are really an interesting questions.
Thank you. So there's a question here about a guaranteed offer, and at what marks does one need to obtain in order to get a guaranteed offer. So all of that information is on our website. Professor Jansen referred to our selection marks that we're using. So to give you a short answer, for the BCom Management Sciences, which is our sort of most general generic program, at the moment we're looking at making conditional offers based on grade 11 marks, if you have a 75% aggregate and at least 70% for mathematics. So the question then that came through is, are we then guaranteeing you a place? And in effect we are. What we're saying is we're making you a conditional offer, and the condition that we put in place is to say that you need to get those marks again at the end of grade 12. So we're saying provided you maintain your marks and in your final grade 12 results you again get a 75% aggregate and 70% for maths, then you are in fact guaranteed a place in the BCom general program. So those are the marks that we're currently using. It might be that we can revise that down slightly, but this year we were very, very full, and we had to put that cutoff much higher than we have in the past. So there's another question about international business, Professor Jansen, and what are my chances of getting into international business if I don't meet the minimum requirements?
So once again, what we are going to look at is, do you comply with the minimum requirements of the degree program and also our selection requirements? If you do not meet those requirements, unfortunately, you will have to consider alternative degree programs. And that is why when you do apply, you can actually select 3 programs. So do select 3 degree programs that you can, that you adhere to the minimum and the selection criteria. And I would strongly advise that you actually do select 3 programs to consider for application next year.
Mishka, there's some questions about the postgraduate diploma in accountancy and the process after that to becoming a CA. Are you happy to talk about that?
Certainly. So after your postgrad PGDA, sorry, I refer to it as that, you will have to do your articles, which is a 3-year course at an accountancy firm. So for example, PwC, KPMG, or even a smaller accounting firm, any of your preference. And then with them, you'll also be learning the skills necessary in order for you to do your chartered accountancy. They will then also help and inform you about the various exams you have to take, because you will also have to qualify as an official CASA by doing, I believe it's 2, but I might be mistaken, board exams in order to qualify for that specific degree or for that specific title.
Great, thank you so much, Mishka. So yes, so there are two board exams, or what we used to call the board exam. The one is called the initial test of competence that you write shortly after you finish the PGDA. Then you work for 18 months or so as an articled clerk in an accounting firm, and then you write your final board exam, the APC, which I, for one moment, cannot think what that stands for, but yes. And then after those two exam processes, then you're able to call yourself a CA South Africa. So Ada, there's a follow-up on the question about economic sciences, and that's about what careers can you go into if you study economic science?
Thanks. That's a very good one, and I can give you numerous answers on that one. There's a variety of career paths that you can follow with economics. Obviously, academia is one, but there are opportunities in the public sector as an economist, as a consultant. There are opportunities in the banking sector. We have many of our graduates working at the South African Reserve Bank. We have students completing degree programs in economics, going on to honours and masters, and they decide to, work at National Treasury. But many of them work at, sort of banking institutions like Standard Bank or Capitec. So there are a variety of options if you would like to explore and specialise in economics. Most sectors require economists to give them inputs on economic decisions, and it's really an important discipline to take forward.
Thank you. So after the big punt for economics, we're back to a question about accountancy. So Mishka, I'm going to bounce this one to you. Would I be considered for accounting if I haven't done accounting at high school?
I absolutely love this question. So you do not have to do accountancy in high school in order to do a BAc degree. Stellenbosch University offers you all the support that you would need, where in your first year, rather than doing the accounting module that other accountancy students had when they did accountancy in high school, you will do what we call a crash course in accountancy in your first year, which is called Accounting 188. And then you will also do a bridging course in order to catch up with your peers and to be on the same level as them for your second year. So all of the support you need in order to know all the basics of accountancy, as well as understand all of the concepts that they want you to know in your second and third year, you will be taught, so you don't have to have accountancy in high school. But it does sometimes help, specifically if you want to have a basic understanding of it.
Thank you. So staying with accountancy, we've got a question about what our pass rate was in the board exams. So now I'm going to have to dig into my memory bank. I think, Ada, do you remember? I think we had a 95% pass rate. We had a 95%.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes, and our pass rate was higher than the national average.
Yes, I do remember that. In fact, and I have the number in my head because the national average was 79%, and our pass rate I think was 97%. I think that was how I remembered it. We also had candidates in the top 10 in the country, and overall we placed second in the board exam this year. So I always point out at our in-person open day, I always tell the parents that even though we might not always come first in the board exam, we're always in one of the universities in the top three. So we're consistently in the top three. The first place might move around a little bit, but we're always in the top three. We had the largest number of students from a residential university pass the ITC last year. So we're very, very proud of our performance in the board. We're consistent and we're large. So there's a question about maths literacy and whether there are any degree programs that allow students with maths literacy. Ada.
So all our programs require the mathematics, which is the pure mathematics that you would take in grade 12. And so unfortunately we do not allow students with mathematical literacy to take any of the degree programs that we offer in the faculty.
We do have a diploma. We have a diploma,
but the degree programs.
But none of the degree programs, unfortunately. So if you haven't done maths, what a lot of you call pure maths, in your grade 12, then unfortunately it's not possible to take any of our degrees. But we do, as I say, have a diploma in sustainable development, which is one opportunity.
Might I be able to add on to that? So Stellenbosch University also offers a course which you can take for a year in order to, so if you do want to be in an EMS faculty and you have a passion for it, you will be able to, there's a course in Stellenbosch, I think it's called Schematis, which allows you to basically do pure maths over and allows you to obtain a pure maths mark, and then from there you can use that mark to qualify and to try and see if you can get into the EMS faculty using that mark. So if you did have pure maths lit in high school, please don't be deterred. You can still get into the EMS faculty.
Thank you, Mishka. Thanks for that positive note. So relatedly, we have a question here. If my grade 11 marks don't meet the requirements, but my final grade 12 results do, will I be considered? So this year, we have decided that we are only going to accept students that receive a conditional offer. So in order to receive a conditional offer, and those offers will go out in the next couple of months, those conditional offers are based on grade 11 results. And then, as I said earlier, you then need to maintain those results in grade 12. So the question then is, well, what if I didn't make those results at grade 11? We can't then make you a conditional offer. And without a conditional offer, we can't make you a final offer. So the only option, if you find yourself in that situation and you really want to come to Stellenbosch University and study in our faculty, the only option is that you apply again next year with your final grade 12 marks. So if you apply next year, then we look at your grade 12 marks because those are then the most recently available marks. So there are a lot of options for things you can do next year. You can take a gap year, you can perhaps go to Schematis, you could spend the year working and then preparing yourself for a new application for 2026. So I know that that's difficult news, but unfortunately that's where we find ourselves. Given the number of applicants we have, we're only accepting students who meet our criteria based on grade 11 and grade 12 marks at this time. Mishka, I'm going to bounce this question to you. What's the difference between BCom Financial Accounting and the B Accounting?
So with the BCom Financial Accounting, it isn't, you don't take as heavy of the modules as B Accounting. So with B Accounting, there's a much more focus in terms of auditing, accountancy, and management accounting and all of those specific requirements because they have to meet the requirements for SAICA. Whereas with BCom Financial Accounting, it's a little bit more where you need to understand the basics of accounting and you need to be able to discuss it with clients in a way that they'll be able to understand it. So it's to ensure that you have a basic understanding of accountancy and will be able to apply it as well.
Thank you. Ada, we've got a couple of questions about AP Maths or what's called in the IB Further Studies Mathematics, and whether we got, first of all, well, the first question was about do we require students, for example, for actuarial science to have taken AP Maths, and the short answer to that is no. But the follow-up question is, does AP Maths or Further Studies Maths help an application? Do we look at those results?
So I think, for us, the main focus is on the grade 12 mathematics, and that's for you to enter a degree program. And if you meet those requirements, then any additional courses that you do take obviously would sort of enhance your skill set. But just for the minimum and the selection criteria, we focus on the grade 12 mathematics.
Thank you so much. And so related to that, we have somebody asking, is there any way to support your application when applying for first year? And the simple answer to that is no. So the only thing that we look at is your grade 11 results. We receive tens of thousands of applicants, and in order to process those in a way that's fair and treats every student in exactly the same way, we focus solely on the marks that you've obtained at grade 11. So we don't look at extracurricular activities. We don't look, as Professor Janssen says, at your AP results, even though, of course, those make you a stronger candidate or better prepared candidate. But we don't look at those when we apply the strict criteria of the selection rules. So we've got a question, Mishka, about whether there's any practical experience during the BAC in terms of, do you get to spend any time, for example, at an accounting firm?
So that is up to each student themselves. During your BAc degree, which is 3 years, you have the option to go and apply for VAC work, which is vocational work at an accountancy firm, and it can be a small accounting firm or a firm of your choice. We also have this great thing at Stellenbosch where accountancy firms come to campus in order to educate students on what their firm is and to be able to sometimes even recruit students as well. So there is opportunities for you to be able to get that practical experience at a firm yourself.
Mm. Thank you. So we have a question, Ada, about the Bachelor of Data Science, and you know, what exactly is data science, and what careers might one go into with data science?
So data science is an exciting new degree program that we have, or BDAT-Sci is a new degree program that the university has now is now offering, and it's offered amongst various faculties, and it's really an exciting, you know, move towards the new era, the digital era, where you get exposed to how do you use large data sets to inform very important questions that you have to answer. And you can do that in a variety of specialty fields. For example, you could start with the BDAT-Sci program and decide to specialize in one of our specialties in economics, behavioral economics, where you use these large data sets and machine learning techniques to better understand human behavior. So it's really an exciting field, and students are really enthused to register for these programs.
And perhaps just to add to that, we met recently with one of the banks that's looking to hire 250 data scientists this year, and we simply can't provide that number. So if you are looking for an exciting career with good job prospects, and you enjoy coding and you're very strong in mathematics, we can strongly recommend the Bachelor of Data Science degree. It's an exciting program, and you're guaranteed a great job at the end of it. There's a question about how many students get admitted into the BAc. So perhaps just to say that we don't cap the numbers in the BAc. Most of our programs, we don't have a numbers cap. Instead, what we do is we try and aim to reach our overall enrollment target. So for next year, we're aiming to take 1,450 students, and we think that if we set the bar where you see it in documents around the selection marks, we should end up with the right sort of number of students. So we typically take about 400 students into the BAc, but we don't set a quota for that. We simply take the students that meet the selection marks.
Can I add on something? So in terms of the BAc as well, if you or with the selection criteria, if you are thinking of doing a BAc, LLB, or BCom law, please also be aware that the law faculty does have a cap. So where the EMS faculty doesn't have a cap, the law faculty does. So you will still have to ensure that you comply with their criteria as well as with the EMS criteria before thinking that you are guaranteed a spot. Please don't be deterred. It is very rewarding to do it, but please also ensure you comply with both faculties.
Thank you. That's such an important point. So we do have some programs where there is a cap. The law programs, there's a very strict cap. There's also a cap on the number of students in the extended curriculum program, and in the BCom International Business. So for all of those programs, once we reach the cap, we can't take any further students. So it's important, if you want to apply for one of those programs, that you also select an option as one that has less stringent criteria and no cap. So there's a question about whether there's any particular accommodation. So for example, is it that the engineering students will be accommodated in one residence and the accounting students in another residence? Mishka, I don't know if you were in residence. Were you in residence?
Yes.
Perhaps you can say a little bit about that application process.
All right, so in terms of residences, They don't have a preference in terms of degrees. I don't think they even consider it. I think they only consider that in terms of when they're pairing you with a roommate or something like that. Otherwise, that does not pair into your criteria. However, there is a separate criteria in terms of residence. They do sometimes consider your marks, they consider whether or not you've been accepted into the university, and all of those things do play a role. So before you get accepted into a residence, you will have to be accepted into the university first before doing so. But if you are applying to residence, please make sure that you apply as early as possible, as sometimes spots in residence do run out extremely quickly.
Yes, accommodation, unfortunately, is a very real issue for our students. This is a small town with limited accommodation, and it's very, very important that you do make a plan around accommodation. So the fact that you receive an offer from us, that's an academic offer. It's not a guarantee of accommodation. So you do need to start thinking very early on about whether you have a place in residence, and alternatively whether you've managed to find private accommodation in the town. So unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you for all the questions, and thank you to my panelists. I think it's quite something when we have to jump from one topic to another depending on the flow of the questions that come through. So I'm really grateful to you, Mishka, and to you, Ada, and to all of you that joined us this afternoon. Thank you for your interest. We're very excited that you're interested in coming to EMS at Stellenbosch University in 2025. And all that remains for us to say is work hard, make sure you get those grade 12 results, and we hope to welcome you in Stellenbosch next year. Thank you. Good night.